Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to play some Unspoken. Unspoken is a mage dueling game for the VR headset, both Oculus and Vive. This game is actually great for those seeking competitive ranking duelists, particularly with magic and casting spells. There's a variety of classes like the Electromancer, Kineticist, Blackjack. This game has all sorts of different materials and spell gestures that can be used to create and customize your character in a fashion where you can be the mage, the ideal mage, in other words, to fight against your other opponents. There are different kinds of classes and different kinds of abilities and what's known as artifacts. These artifacts are used to create different kinds of abilities during the game. This we're looking at here is the training session. This is for the Kineticist class. Most classes have a generic defensive and offensive spell, and then it broadens out into more specific attacks. On the right trigger, you will always have your projectile offensive spell. In this case, you can see the Kineticist shooting out projectiles. These are random projectiles that generate throughout the game. Sometimes they vary between concrete walls, shopping carts, miscellaneous just items and objects that you pull and you can bring to you and then shoot back towards the enemy. Your opponent will also be able to sometimes shoot fireballs, electricity, all sorts of different kinds of waves. Your left hand, as you can see here, is the shield button. That's your defense button. When you hold the trigger down, you'll be able to put up force fields that can reflect projectiles back towards the enemies. So right hand is while you're shooting forward offensive projectiles. Your left hand will be your shielding defenses. Also, as you can see in the demonstration, there's these little training bots that go ahead and shoot all sorts of projectiles at you, so you can kind of get the feel and idea of where your hand needs to be when you need to shoot out projectiles and or shields. The next part of the video is the more specialized abilities. Sometimes with specific gestures, as you can see here, they're asking us to hold our arms apart with both grips extended. This causes us to summon vehicles, police vehicles, to summon from the air and then just drop them down from above down towards your opponent. This causes devastating damage, and in some cases it's best that you let the cars fully charge in order to maximize your amount of damage. Again, going back to the classes, this is the kinetic class. It shoots out the police vehicles. Other classes like the pyro will go ahead and summon a skull, a flaming skull that'll use a homing ability to chase down your opponents no matter where they're at. Makes it easier to shoot down targets, and makes it easier to just go ahead and with all the hecticness and all the spell casting going around, it really helps you bring down your strategy towards your opponent. Now the next ability is a shrapnel charge. What it does is it collects all sorts of debris from around you in an area. You hold your arms in front of you and then you charge up all this debris, combining it together into this one specialized force that you can shoot out. The attack is based off the location of where your eyes and peripherals are looking at. So as you charge the location, you can actually look in the direction that you want to shoot it out afterwards. This attack is particularly powerful and strong as it can help against direct targets that are just standing still, or if you really need to break down an enemy's shield, just really concentrated heavy attack. The last ability here is your sphere of force, your force sphere. This sphere is great because it deflects incoming projectiles. You cross your arms in a manner and then just exhale them outwards, and this creates this bubble which slows targets. This gives you time to escape from all sorts of incoming projectiles. In the game, since you'll be hopping from one platform to another, as you'll see later on, it really helps to slow down the amount of projectiles that are coming in so you can control the amount of force and dangers that are coming your way. This particular projectile isn't favored by some of the players that I've noticed I've been playing with, but it is pretty nice. And down at the bottom you can see here you can pick up all sorts of artifacts as well. And these artifacts are kind of like supports that you get these one-time uses for, depending on what kind you use. But yeah, in the game you'll be able to customize your character and your spells to optimize on your kind of level of detail on how you would best be dueling mage of sorts. Now the game does have a ladder system in terms of the ranked play. There's a global ranking leaderboards, and then of course your friends leaderboards. You can see on the right side here there's the global for that season 1. You can switch back into your friends. As you can see my buddy Merlinian over there, he's sporting the 2200 ranking. You can go ahead and compete with your friends based off your skill level, your power level, how much you take points in, your wins, defeats, losses, and all that good stuff. Alright, let's jump into a typical match here. As you can see, once the beginning starts, the enemy opponent is on the opposite side on his own set of red platforms, while the player ourselves, we have our own set of blue platforms. We want to go ahead and pick up these gems that are scattered around the area that lets us perform our specialized abilities, such as the kinetic shot that we saw here. Total miss. Can't believe I missed that one there. Anyway, the enemy opponent is using a fire style attack of mage skills. As you can see, shoot some fireballs here and there while I'm shooting my projectiles back and forth. If I manage to hit one of his gems in the distance, as you saw right there, I cancel out one of his locations, making him unable to use one of his platforms, which are very viable to keep your mobile game going on. Back and forth, as you can see, I can put up some shields that help reflect back some of his abilities. Also, sometimes different shields have different qualities to them. For example, the fire mage, as he can actually reflect some of my abilities back towards me, while mine are just reflected towards a different location. As you can see here, we're using up the car ability. We're going and summoning them all, use full effect, and it looks like we did plenty of damage there. We hurt him down to about a quarter health. Putting up the shield back and forth, it helps a lot, especially against all these kinds of projectiles. He's really just wailing on me, but doing pretty good so far, holding up at like 90% health. And I still have one more extra gem down at the bottom. Looks like I'm using it right now. Projectiles facing forward. I missed that shot again, just because I wasn't looking directly at him. Let's go ahead and see what happens when you use one of these special artifacts. You go ahead and take this pen right here, and you have to write this insignia just as it shows right in front of you, not on the book, as I learned the hard way here. I realized, hey, what's going on? But once you actually apply the insignia on the right location, you summon this AOE, and look, long and behold, we win that match. Awesome job.
Well, not really pizza.
Alright, coming up on this next round, we go ahead and start strong by shooting some projectiles over. His health bar initially took some damage there. It also helps if you notice that when I summon the projectiles, if you aim your hand forward on using your touch, you actually get the object to come to you faster. Here we are using the insignia in a much more masterful fashion than the last time, performing some AoE damage there to see the enemy opponent taking some damage here left and right amongst his paths. We're going to use the cell phone caller now for the demon. You perform the functions of the buttons presses in the right order, and this summons actually a demon that assists you in coming forward and firing back. We also are using here the paper airplane that, when folded correctly, you send out two paper airplanes that turn into actual planes that shoot them. And look, long and behold, there's the demon on the top right there shooting him at the same time. Another good match as well. Second round goes to me. Now, something that's good to note is after a match is completed and won successfully, the game actually gives you this level up system by performing wins through artifacts. After winning a certain match, you will go ahead and get artifact wins or new class unlocks, which is really helpful towards pushing forward and trying out the new characters and classes in the game. Alright, so on the next game that we have here, the next matchup, now I actually swapped it over and I'm playing the fire mage now. Rather than using those projectiles that we conjured and used kinetic attacks that we picked up, we just shoot the fireballs with the reflective shield as well. We also have the ability to shoot a skull and some fireworks, which I'm sure we'll demonstrate in a bit here. The skull is actually a homing, and the fireworks are all platforms. Here's the big shield. The cross shield, we're folding our paper airplane here again. We'll be able to shoot those two regular airplanes at the target. The deflecting shield is actually great because it actually buys you some time from actually casting more stronger spells. Looks like the enemy just did the same thing as well. This right here is actually the little chalice. This is kind of like a silence. Once you complete, you can go and the enemy's unable to cast for a while. What we just did right there is the forge. If you hit consecutive timing on the artifacts there on the emblems and the symbols, you create this spear that does a high amount of damage. The one thing I should say is that this game, I have been able to not really focus exactly what I'm doing, the difference between augmented and real. Here I actually, if you notice on the bottom left, I end up breaking the bulb off of my ceiling fan, all as a result of being too involved in the game. These games can be really realistic sometimes. You get so caught up in the game itself, and as a result, you find yourself causing all sorts of mayhem back in the real world. I'm sure there'll be more things for me to be hitting around the area. Just make sure you watch out. This really puts it intense in a lot of ways. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and break it down. The level of categories that I'm going to be breaking down these kind of games in terms of a score. I'm going to want to go ahead and first of all begin with the VR experience on the scale of 1 to 5 and how much I felt it really brought me into the game itself. Second, I'd probably say is gameplay. I'd like to talk about what it really put in, what the game really made me feel, how well the game itself played, and then of course the overall repetitivity, how repetitive is the game, and the longevity of the game, and how great it'll be to continue to be playing and putting more massive hours on it. Alright, let's go ahead and start with the VR experience. This is by far the most intense VR experience I have played yet. It's fast paced, it makes me keep moving. There are times where after 2 or 3 matches I have to go and take off my headset and just stop and analyze and let my brain really understand what just happened there. As you can see, the matches are fast paced and you gotta just keep swinging, keep blocking, and keep moving. That definitely, by far, I've got to get this one definitely a 4 out of 5 at least. At the very minimal, it definitely puts in the game where you need it to be in terms of the VR experience. It really pushed the next gen towards spellcasters and RPG players as well alike, I'm sure. The next thing I want to go ahead and bring in is the gameplay itself. As you can see, the gameplay is just it's so smooth. It works the way it should be. The way players are supposed to play is up to them. You can build your character in the manner that you want to. There's different classes, different kinds of artifacts. These really make it beneficial and powerful for every mage caster and player to play the way that they want to play. And then playability or repeatability, or how often you'll play again. As you can see, I've probably put in about maybe 10-12 hours on this game, and I think I've only scratched the surface. It's only unlocking 2 of the classes. Just recently they released a new downloadable patch where there was a new class revealed, the Electrocutor. I'm working my way to get that one as well. When you play with friends and ranks, as I play with my buddy Merlinian, you can see this game to be a competitive, continuous battle where you just step in some days and you jump out of bed or come home from work, put on your Oculus, you put on your VR headset, whatever you have, and you just go at it. You relive that memory and that feeling of what it's like to be your favorite mage of all time, and you get to cast your own spells, and you know that your win or loss is based off choices that you made, based off the character that you made amongst the world, and challenging other players online just takes it to a whole new level. So I would definitely go ahead and say that the repetitivity on this one is repetitive, but however, what you get out of it is definitely what you would expect and what you would want out of a game like this to make you want to keep coming back and not just doing the same thing over and over. I would definitely say that this is definitely a 5 out of 5 game at the very end for the verdict. This is exactly what some of the players have been looking for a long time, and I can see a game like Unspoken really paving the road for a lot of future games to come, and definitely I don't see a reason why there would be any reason not to have another sequel for this. Anyway, guys, if you I'll leave the matches going on. You can watch how this match continues off and finishes off. I really enjoyed seeing it. If you enjoyed this video, or if you really liked it, please leave comments and like below. Also, please subscribe. I appreciate all your output and input, and I'd love to see if there's something that you saw that you'd like me to change up. Please let me know. If there's a game that you'd like me to play, please let me know, and I'd like to change it up as well, and I'd like to present it for you guys. Alright, it's been fun. I'll leave it to you guys here, and until the next time, guys, goodbye.
Been defeated. Begin. vanquished.